watching Lawson channel. I'm Theresa.
I'm Mike.
And we're millennials and we're making it. On our channel, we discuss all things that meet within the intersection of millennial marriage and special needs parenting.
We want to create a community that's both inclusive and encouraging.
So go ahead and hit the subscribe button and help us reach our goal of getting to 1,000 subscriptions before our anniversary day.
Also, don't forget to smash that like button so you can let the algorithm know you think we are awesome.
So today we're going to be talking about the importance of early diagnosis for autism specifically, but also for other developmental issues like speech delay and any issues that would need occupational or physical therapy, right? So I guess it would be helpful to start with some things that we missed in Macy that probably should have triggered us to say, hey, let's take our kid to get evaluated. What was one of the first things?
Crawling.
Yeah, she missed some of those developmental milestones. Crawling specifically, that was interesting. And how was that special? How was her? What was so special about her crawling?
I mean, because that's what we're used to seeing with any kid.
Well, no, but how did she crawl?
Oh, on her back.
Yes, Macy would.
They wouldn't crawl, no, scoot.
She would scoot on her back. Now, she could crawl. We witnessed her crawl. If we forced her on her knees and didn't allow her to get down, she could crawl. But that was not, until she could walk, that was not how she got around. Matter of fact, I don't think I think it was 2 before she was like, hey, crawling is a cool thing to do. But at that point, she could walk just fine, just random. What was another thing?
Speech.
Yeah, definitely difficulties with speech. I think she said words, made sounds, said words, and probably towards the end of like the time frame that you're supposed to. So say your first sounds by this age, she would do it at the very end of the range, right? She said the appropriate number of words. I think it got to a certain point where she just stopped adding words, because she could communicate all the functional things that she needed, like food, water, hug, all those kind of things that she needed. She could label things. She didn't communicate. I think that was the biggest thing. It wasn't like a back and forth. It was always for necessity.
Yeah.
It wasn't, look at this thing I discovered, Mama. Those kind of things. It was always for some sort of necessity. And I think this was the bigger thing, outside of our familiar group, so mom, dad, grandmothers, godmother, godbrother, like we were having to do a lot of translating. Like not everybody could understand what Macy said all of the time except for us. We really got it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I think for me, speech was the nail in the coffin. Well, no, her sensory issues were the nail in the coffin. But speech was what made me go to her 3-year-old doctor appointment and be like, hey, I don't think she's where she's supposed to be with speech. Right?
Yeah.
That was what really made me start paying attention to her development as a whole. What else?
I mean, from my experience, I think them the only things that I really...
No.
I don't know.
After 3, it was sensory issues. I even started Googling, like, why does my child freak out about getting her hair washed? Or why does she freak out at certain sounds? Or why won't she hug grandma? Or why is she, poop smearing? Why is she doing that? And should we be concerned? All of those things are issues with sensory processing. And we, from 3 to 4, from the time I was like, hey, I think something's wrong, to the time we got her evaluated after she turned 4, like, those were probably the most difficult days with Macy. I mean, there are other difficult times. We've had help since then. I think during that time period, we had the difficulty with no assistance, like no direction. We didn't know what to do. And had at 3, the doctor, her pediatrician at the time, been like, hey, let's get her evaluated, a lot of that she would not have to go through. And we wouldn't have to go through with her. You know?
I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not knocking none of that. I'm speaking from my experience.
Right.
I didn't think autism and stuff like that. That's not
What
what my mind frame was.
Well, what did you think?
My kid even though ain't nothing wrong with kids with autism, I'm just saying, I didn't think nothing wrong with my child. I mean, just,
well, and that's, I think, part of the reason, and brings us to the topic of early evaluation. I think that's part of the reason why people don't get their children evaluated. Because every child is different, development is different, and there's nothing wrong with my child. As if they were to have some sort of delay or disability, that would mean that something is wrong with their child, right? Disability isn't a bad word.
No, I didn't deny it, getting her checked out or whatever. I just thought, hey, we can go check out. She's still, and again, not saying children with autism ain't normal, but, I just was like, man, my child normal, ain't nothing wrong with her, but, I mean, I still would have got a diagnosis, checked out anyway, but just to make sure everything was all right, but I never denied, getting a diagnosis or whatever.
So yeah, babe, you don't have to speak up. See me, see you. Mm-hmm. So we got her evaluated at age 4. And I do want to preface this. When you go get your child evaluated, lots of medical professionals and therapists and things like that will put the time frame on early intervention as soon as they could walk and talk to age 5. You can have a child evaluated for autism as early as 18 months. And they say age 5 because children who receive early interventions, who need speech therapy, occupational therapy, or ABA services, if they get those services before age 5, they need less services after age 5, on average, on the whole. That does not mean that after age 5, your child can't make gains in speech, in dexterity, in socialization. It just means they may need more help than children who had interventions earlier, right? And so one of the first things that the nurse that evaluated me, because she was evaluated by nurse practitioner, said was, we want to make sure we get her as much therapy before she turns 5 as possible. She could have so many, and I'm thinking in my head, oh no, she'll be 5 in less than a year. We waited too late. That is not what that means. But it does mean that typically children who get therapy earlier at 2 and 3 instead of 5 and 6 starting out, they need less therapy. And you want your child to need less help as they get older. You don't want them to have to struggle as much. But most people, and even some doctors, still have the mindset of, well, they'll just grow out of it. Oh, every kid develops in their own time. Even when we see these red flags, that should say to us, hey, we should talk to somebody about this, right? So why do you think doctors are so hesitant to, or why do you think first the pediatrician we went to first is so hesitant about sending Macy for an evaluation?
He didn't feel like dealing with people's attitude. I can't blame him. I wouldn't want to have to deal with nobody's attitude either.
Yeah, I watched this interview podcast. It's on YouTube. One of the speakers there was the founder of Autism in Black. She's on YouTube. No, she's on Facebook and Instagram. A video of her doing an interview was on YouTube. And she talks a lot about, and I'll link the video because the video links all the studies they were talking about. The doctors were studied, and part of the reason that they don't say anything if there's not obvious or glaring issues with the child is because of parent backlash. Like, parents don't want to receive it for whatever reason. And that only, like, nobody benefits from that. It's not easier for the doctors to provide care. It's not easier for the parents to help their child. And it's certainly not easier for the child. I think about that age from 3 to 4 with Macy, and like the world of difference she had in the first few weeks of going to therapy. And for the first couple of months, it was just speech and OT and the world of difference. And then you added ABA, and like it really, the therapies together really helped her to kind of figure kidding out, right? Like, how do I kid like the rest of the kids? Or how do I kid in a way that makes me a happy kid? Forget the rest of the kids. And she was able to get the help that she needed to be able to understand, maybe not understand, but deal with the sensory issues that she was having. And it, honestly, a lot of the therapy in those first couple months was for us. Because we had to go to therapy for what? 2 months? Once a week? 6 or 7 weeks? Maybe 8.
You talking about taking the kid?
No, when we had to go see Miss Jenny.
That was therapy?
Yes, that was therapy. It was parent therapy.
I had no idea.
Yes,
I thought we were just talking about the kid. I ain't know.
But that's what it was. It was helping us, giving us strategies. That's what therapy is. It helping you, giving you strategies. And it was literally just giving us strategies and dealing with our kid.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was absolutely. What did you think therapy was?
I didn't think that was therapy. I thought we was in there talking about our kid. That was it.
But that's therapy. We talk about the kid, issues that we're having. She's like, hey, try this. Therapy in a nutshell. Talk about your issues. Hey, try this. What did you think we were doing for 2 months?
I just ain't look at it like that.
That is hilarious. But yeah, so we were in therapy. My husband didn't know. I think hiccups now. I'm laughing at you. Oh no.
That's what you get. Shouldn't have been laughing at me.
When we got our kid evaluated, what was the reaction of our close-knit circle? Family, friends. We were like, hey, got kid evaluated. She has autism.
I don't remember what your mama thought. I know my mama had an idea before we did that. Because she dealt with that kind of stuff before.
I had no... Good God.
No, I think I need to finish what I was saying.
What were you finishing? What were you going to say?
I was saying my mom had an idea. I don't remember how your parents felt about it, but my
dad was like,
there's
nothing wrong.
I was saying my mom had an idea of that Macy might have had autism because she dealt with stuff like that before. Now, she brought that to my attention, but, I didn't think nothing was wrong with the kid at all. I kind of denied it, but...
When did she bring it to your attention?
I can't say I remember when, but I know she did.
Was it before or after we took her to get evaluated?
Oh, it was before. Yeah, I think.
Did you ever tell me?
No, it was after. She told me. She told me after. Yeah, I told you. Yeah.
She told you after?
She told me after. Yeah. She like I had an idea. I just didn't want to say nothing and make y'all upset. But she.
And that is, I think, the underlying theme. Like, we don't want to make the parents upset, as if that changes the outcome for the child in a beneficial way. I can pinpoint 2 instances, and if I run up on these people, it makes me angry. I would want to punch them in the jaw, and it's not kind, but it's genuinely how I feel. Well, people made comments indirectly, and because I didn't know anything really about autism, I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't connect what they were saying with them thinking that Macy was autistic. But in hindsight, I realized what they were saying, and I'm just like, well, why did you just say that?
Well, I mean, because not everybody take the news.
Who cares how you take it, though? And
they do. That's why they didn't tell you.
I guess that's just me. Like, if I walk by somebody and their fly is unzipped, I don't care who they are. I'm not going to let them keep walking in their underwear showing. That's unkind. And they may feel really embarrassed that no matter how I do it, they may feel really embarrassed that I drew attention to something that maybe nobody else would have noticed. Like maybe nobody would have noticed if the fly was undone. But just the off chance that somebody could and they would be more embarrassed down the line, I would make sure they knew. And I don't care if they're oh, well, why? Like, I don't care. Or you got a booger in your nose. Like, so why would something as important as the development of the child would you hold back in making that assertion?
I mean, but that's two different scenarios. That scenario with your flying zip, that's not dealing with a kid.
I feel like that makes it more important that you say something though.
But I get it, but that's not dealing with a kid. Like,
I know, but I feel like
you're diagnosing.
Not diagnosing.
Where you're
suggesting that you should take your child to a professional and see what they say.
I mean, even if I feel
like that is just so much more important.
I can see the flip side of the coin.
And I see the flip side of the coin as well, and I think the flip side of the coin is stupid.
Yeah, I mean it is, but I'm not finna go tell you what to do with your child. I mean, that's your child. You know,
I'm not telling you what to do.
But you still see.
They
I guarantee you, they see the signs just as well as you see them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they want to, I mean, I'm not saying, be ugly or dirty to them, but if they don't want to get their child evaluated, they don't want to get their child evaluated or diagnosed or whatever, that's their decision.
I appreciate that. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that parents are refusing to get their children evaluated at obvious signs. But I'm saying if you see obvious signs, you should at least tell the parent, because sometimes they don't recognize it. And for those two people who honestly, one of them was snide and ugly. One of the remarks was snide and ugly. When I think about it today, I'm just like, how could you be so incredibly unkind? Mm-hmm. Right? I don't want to get into it. How could you be so incredibly unkind as to see my child struggling, know what you probably are seeing, and not let me know so that I can do something about it?
But that's because everybody, like I was saying,
it doesn't matter how I receive it. Like,
that do matter.
Like there's two ways I can receive it. I can receive it and do something about it. I can receive it and do nothing about it. I can be upset. All of those. It doesn't matter how I receive it. If you see something, say something. If I see your child struggling, I'm going to tell you, hey, your child is struggling. Have you thought about getting them evaluated? No, ain't nothing wrong with my child. Okay. Don't ever talk to me again. That's fine. We don't have to talk. If you're going to get mad at me about something like that, there was nothing I could do in the first place. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't try to do something in the first place. That is what I'm saying.
I'm not saying, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm speaking from, you asked the question, why don't people say something? And not everybody, I mean, that's your mentality. Everybody don't feel like dealing with that. That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody can't take, like you can, somebody telling you, ain't nothing wrong with my child, don't speak to me no more. Okay, that's how you feel. You can take that. Cindy, Jane, or Jim, or Billy, or Jack might not be able to take a situation like you taking it. You know what I'm saying?
And what I'm saying is, when you apply that logic, we excuse teachers and doctors from not saying it. And according to what they were speaking about in this interview with, Autism in Black and another professional, both work with parents who have children with disabilities and getting them services or whatever. Doctors don't want to say anything, and that's not okay. The reason I go so hard with this, because it disproportionately affects Black parents, because it's mostly the mom who's taking Black children to the doctors, right? And there's always this stereotype that Black mothers are angry, we're volatile, we are defensive, we are stubborn, when that is not the case by and large. Black women are just walking around mad, and if they're mad, you gave them a reason to be mad. But if you already look at Black mothers that way, and you have the propensity to, I don't want to say something because it might make the parent angry, and Black women are always angry, Black children are less likely to get advised to go get evaluated. And that only affects black children and the future of the black community. And that's a problem. Especially when you take your kid to the doctor, right? And you're like, hey, I think something wrong. Her speech is a little behind. Let me get her evaluated. Even if you personally feel like as a doctor, probably nothing. At 3 years old, she could have got evaluated through Medicaid at no cost to us, through a system that is very cost effective. And if nothing had come up of it, nobody's feelings would have been hurt. So the only people who are genuinely hurt by putting off evaluations are the kids and their development, not just now, but in the future.
I mean, I feel like this too. If you, as a parent, when you notice that stuff, that should be off top. Hey, let me go.
You didn't notice it. You thought nothing was wrong with your kid.
But I no, because my kid was reading that too. So that's what made me think my child was okay. My child could.
And that's another thing. Like there's
there's
this social stigma that there has to be intellectual delay, what used to be called the R word. I will not say the R word. But there's a social stigma that there has to be some sort of intellectual disability or intellectual delay along with speech delay, along with autism. The prevalence of intellectual delay or savant syndrome, like this high IQ genius ability, the prevalence is the same as neurotypical people. So if you took 100 neurotypical people and 100 autistic people, about the same number of people would have developmental delay, about the same number of people would have normal IQ, and about the same number of people would be savants or geniuses. Like, there's not that much difference. And so, yes, she could read. Still autistic. So just because your child is doing something doesn't discount the fact that they're struggling in some areas, and maybe you should get those areas looked at. Like, there are autistic geniuses, there are autistic regular people, and there are some autistic people who have developmental delay. What would you say to parents who are hesitant about getting their children evaluated?
I mean, go get it done. I know it. I know you don't want to. I know you don't want to hear that your child, it's a possibility your child have autism, but I recommend go and do it anyway. I mean, just bite the bullet. It is what it is, and just, do the best you can with your child. Teach your kid the best way you can. Pray for your kid, the whole nine. I mean, it's all you can do. Just try your best to, train them up and, get them ready for society. That's all you can do.
I think we as parents put too much on ourselves. You are not speech therapists. You don't have to Google and try to figure out how to help your child learn more words. We're not occupational therapists.
I don't think nothing wrong with it though.
Yes, you should know. I mean, that's absolutely, first of all, anything that a therapist is going to do at your school is going to require homework when you go home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not going to see your child for 30 minutes twice a week and that be all the speech therapy that needs to happen. You're going to have to do a lot of work at home, but you don't have to figure that out by yourself. Right?
No.
You're not a medical professional. You're not a therapist. You don't have to sometimes you need help with your kids. If their teeth were crooked, you take them to go get braces. If they couldn't see, you take them to go get glasses. If they have trouble with their speech, if they're having sensory issues, take them and have them evaluated so that you can get the help that you need in helping your kid. It is scary, but it is well worth it, and I do not regret it. I do not regret it at all.
Nope.
All right, well, that's all we're going to talk about today. Let us know in the comments down below if you saw that a child was struggling, would you say something to their parents? We know it's tough, but I'd love to hear what you'd like to have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.
God bless you.